Hey guys, welcome to Digit.in, and what we have for you today is our review of Redmi's 43-inch full HD TV. And as of recording this review, it's priced at about 26,000 rupees. And you know what? This is a very interesting screen size at a very interesting price point, simply because we also have 4K HDR TVs available at this price point in the 43-inch screen space. Now, the 43-inch screen size is not only one of the most popular screen sizes in the country as of now, but it is also possibly the only screen size where you have the option of either going in for a full HD TV or a 4K TV. And I think with this review, we're going to try to answer that question: does it make sense to go for a budget 4K HDR TV at the sub 30,000 rupee price point, or should you consider a full HD TV? Does a full HD TV still have value at this price point? And before we get started with the review, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you're notified every time we upload a new video. As always, we are going to begin by talking about our Calman analysis. And yes, everything that we consumed on this TV is going to be in SDR, and that is in our readings as well. Kicking things off with the color checker analysis, you can see that we got an average delta error of 2.2 in the movie preset, which is actually pretty good and something we would expect, considering the container you can see in this graph here is a Rec 709 container, and SDR TVs have been around for a very long time, so we wouldn't expect this TV to perform badly. Speaking of the peak brightness, we recorded it somewhere about 240 nits, sometimes a little bit higher, and that's actually very good because SDR content is mastered in 100 nits, and going anywhere beyond that just makes the content look pretty good. Even when it comes to the saturation sweeps, you can see that all the colors are hitting their mark quite well. Again, this was in the movie preset with an average delta error of 2.2. And the grayscale tracking, which essentially tells us how white looks at different brightness levels, also gave us an error of about 2.8, which isn't actually very bad, but we do notice that the TV does have a very cool bias to it, and more on that when we move to our real world performance. So like I said, most of the content that we consume, the real world content, was in SDR and full HD only. Even the 4K content, be it shows like Our Planet or Jack Ryan or anything else of Netflix and Prime Videos that's available in 4K and HDR, was consumed in SDR on this TV. And to put it very simply, the performance was actually really good. Remember, the TV is not trying to give you that higher contrast ratio. It's not trying to hit certain peak brightnesses that are required to enjoy content in HDR. And the content you are watching is in SDR, which is giving you not only very good colors, but the content is watchable in a well-lit room and a relatively dark-lit room as well, simply because the dark scenes aren't suffering from any form of black crushing, so to speak. So we played all our content in, let's say, the standard and the movie preset, and the standard preset has a slightly cool bias to it, and if you want, you can always go into the settings and change the color temperature to warm, but I wouldn't recommend that. Rather, I would suggest is you watch content using the movie preset, and by default the movie preset has the backlighting set to 80. I highly recommend you go and bump this up all the way up to 100. So in a movie like Spider-Man Homecoming, you have the colors looking nice in Spider-Man suit, and the skin tones also have a nice warm touch to it. In the standard preset, the skin tones do look quite alright, but the overall image has a slightly cool bias. And like I said before, when we used the standard preset and went and changed the color temperature to warm, it didn't have the same effect with some of the punchiness that we saw in the movie preset. So if you are going to leave this TV on just one preset, you can stick with the movie preset. On the other hand, a show like Young Sheldon does look better in the standard preset because the cooler temperature gives it that color palette which is more appealing to the eye. Maybe this is a show that is really mastered to be watched by everyone at home on a regular TV without changing the preset, which is why it looks this way. But then again, that's what we felt, is leaving it on standard just made this show look better. Again, everything else like the Grand Tour or Jack Ryan. Jack Ryan is another great example because the sequence that we use is slightly darker and it tests the dark scene performance of an HDR TV. But then again, as you can see, everything was crystal clear on this TV, and even the chase sequence in Mission Impossible was a treat to watch just because of the overall performance. And I would actually be shocked if a full HD TV did not perform this well, simply because this technology has been around way longer than 4K and HDR, and on a budget you should be really good. Moving over to gaming, On the PS5, we got a refresh rate of only 60 Hz on this TV. It does have an auto low latency mode, but in our opinion, switching it on and off really didn't have much of a difference in the performance of the TV. We do get RGB colors, but we do get them at full HD SDR with an HDCP of 1.4. So when it comes to gaming, a good testament to seeing how the translation of quality between a budget 4K TV and a budget full HD TV is a game like Dirt 5, which has these really nice specular highlights, which may suffer on a 4K TV, but their complete absence on this full HD SDR TV just made the game really enjoyable. I mean, the sun does look bright enough and the image is vivid enough for you to enjoy. Even in Ghost of Tsushima, which has like this really nice watercolor art style, the game was a treat. Now, where you will miss things from a slightly more expensive 4K TVs in a game like Spider-Man Miles Morales, when you're swinging into the sun, the details in Spider-Man's black suit are better visible on a slightly higher end HDR TV, but out here the loss in detail isn't so bad that if you didn't know what you were looking for, you wouldn't know what you're missing. So that was about the gaming performance. Now moving over to the audio, the TV has 20 watts of sound output, and during the course of our review, we did receive an update that improved the audio performance of the TV. And considering its price point, it is just as good or bad as most of its peers. I mean, something like the Blawpunk Cybersound TV had better audio output, but the panel performance of that TV really wasn't that great. This TV, on the other hand, has good sound output for everyday TV viewing. So we played a couple of games, watched movies, watched TV shows, and the audio output has clear vocals, and where it suffers is with mixed audio and of course channel separation. But if you're someone that's going to use this in a bedroom or use it on a table and you really aren't sitting very far away from it and you just want clear audio, you should be fine. Moving over to the user interface now, Xiaomi has done a lot of good work with its patch wall UI, but somehow the UI was really laggy on this TV, and the TV, like I said, did get an update which also helped improve its UI performance. But in the long term of using this TV, I used it for a couple of weeks there on a tabletop stand, and the UI just kept bugging out on me a couple of times. It wasn't anything major, it was just a couple of lags while opening an app took too long to open. Maybe it crashed once or twice, but it was happening often enough for me to mention it that the UI still needs improvements. Another funny thing is that Xiaomi's UI is going to be homogeneous across all their TVs, so you do have patch wall, a section which shows 4K content, HDR content, Dolby Vision content, and when you click on it, you are going to watch that content in full HD SDR on this TV. It's not a con, it's just something funny that I noticed, so I thought I'll share it with you. Moving over to the remote control, let's keep this short. It's the same standard Xiaomi remote control that we have seen on so many of their TVs. It is just the same out here with two OTT hotkeys giving you a shortcut for the patch wall UI, Android TV UI, the Google Assistant, and it's simple, easy to use. It does not come with batteries in the box. So here's answering the question that we put forth at the beginning of this video is, should you consider a 4K HDR TV at the sub 30K price point, or should you go with this full HD TV? Now, if you look up on Amazon or Flipkart, there are many options for you to choose from, and unfortunately we haven't reviewed a lot of them. So keeping the performance of this Redmi TV in mind, let's just tell you one thing. If you're someone that really wants to get on the 4K bandwagon and does want a good HDR TV, you are going to have to spend a lot more than 30,000 rupees to get some form of an acceptable good HDR experience, because let's face it, even though the budget experiences are good, they are nowhere close to offering you what HDR is supposed to visually look like. But if you want a good TV for content consumption, if you're going to watch let's say your set-top box content, you have an older gen PS4 or an Xbox One that you want to connect, a Fire TV Stick which is a full HD version, and just consume content on that. You aren't ready yet to jump to the 4K bandwagon of content. You have a subscription to Netflix, but you don't have the 4K subscription. You have the full HD subscription to the service. So then this TV will suit your needs a lot better, just because its picture performance is actually pretty good. The UI, though buggy, is something that Xiaomi may be able to fix in a future update, and the audio is acceptable as long as you're using this TV in a small room. It does support HDMI ARC. Of the two HDMI ports that it has also has two USB ports. And if you are going to invest in a soundbar in the future, know that this TV supports ARC, which is also an advantage you have out here. So there you have it, guys. That was our review of the Redmi 43-inch full HD TV. As always, you can let us know what you thought of this video in the comment section below. And for more from the world of technology, you can subscribe to the channel. We will catch you in another video. It's goodbye for now.